Well, listen, everyone, amazingly excited about kicking off week 2 of our coaching, and specifically excited about getting myself out of the way, at least for the first part here. I've got some really, really powerful stuff that I'm going to share after the next section here. But it is my incredible honor to be able to turn it over to Trisha Verzera and Ruth Sheridan, who, I've said it a handful of times in the pre-training and on the Q&A call and so forth. But, the inner circle would definitely not have been complete without this dynamic duo. So I think together we make a pretty dynamic trio, and they are going to dive into the first session on the social recruiting system. And when I say they are masters at this, they are truly masters. I mean, I have I scoured the profession for quite a long time to find someone who had the kind of power that they do, not just in doing it themselves. I mean, they've done it at the highest levels, both million-dollar earners in our profession, both built huge teams, but more importantly, being able to distill down something that is so confusing for so many people and be incredibly effective in coaching on it. And so they've been able to coach thousands of people, and super too excited to bring you guys on. So Ruth and Trisha, take it away.
Thank you, Matt. We're super excited to be here tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate it. All right. So we are going to dive right in with this week's topic and really give you guys lots and lots of good stuff. As Ruth shares her screen here, we're going to be diving in and talking to you about creating a personal brand. Now, I know Ruth and we talked about this earlier today. When we first got started and someone told us we needed to create a brand, we were like, wait, what's a brand? Right? So if you've ever thought about that, just know you are not alone. And one of the things is once we did this, though, this is something that was a game changer for us in our business. It's what really allowed us to set ourselves apart, and what allowed us to really kind of be that professional per se online. And although you might feel that a lot of people are doing this today, if you do it effectively, it doesn't matter. You can still stand out because there's so many millions of people who are watching on social media. So I'm really excited to dive into this with you guys.
And if you discover going through this that you haven't been doing it effectively, it's okay. It's totally okay, because everything can change from this point on. And I will tell you, when I first came on to social media years ago, I was not effective. I thought my brand was all about my network marketing company, and I had the name of it plastered everywhere. My Facebook cover photo was a picture of the company name. I had essentially branded my company and not me. So we're going to talk today about creating a powerful personal brand to start attracting your tribe, attracting your ideal prospect, so that when they visit your social media, it's almost addictive. They want to come back over and over and over again to see what you're up to, see what you're posting, get some value from it. And I promise you, they won't be turned off.
No, not at all. And, one other thing I wanted to add in there too, Ruth, I know we've talked about this too, is, when you first get started creating that personal brand, one, you are going to start attracting your tribe. That's the main thing. That's what you want to do. But you're also going to be surprised at who starts reaching out that you know already, who's going, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing stuff differently? Or I remember when I got started, a lot of people were like, what's this creating a brand thing? You're doing weird stuff on social media. Guys, here's the thing. If you're using your social media for your business, it's okay. What we teach you works. What we're going to teach you will absolutely change the forefront of your business. And it doesn't matter what other people think. They probably weren't going to buy from you or join you anyway. So don't worry about that. Just know that you will attract the right people to you. All right. So to dive right in here, personal branding and why it's important. And I remember when I first, really started thinking about this, you said, we've got a real business. And that's one of the things, if you guys are here, you want a real business, right? You're not in it just to dabble or, have a few sales. If you're investing in yourself, if you're here for this, you're here because you want to build a real business. And when you think about it, real businesses that are out there, think about it, like Apple, Beyonce, Tony Robbins, right? Like when you say those names, people know who the company is, what they represent, what their products are, all of those things. But if you are always talking about just your network marketing company, the name of the company, just holding up products of your company, all you're doing is really just showing your company, like Ruth had mentioned before, you're just branding that business. But when you can think about yourself, and for me, all of my stuff on social media, if you look up Trisha Verzera, you will find it everywhere. For Ruth, it's Ruth Sheridan. Matt, same thing. You're going to find Matt Morris. But it's because we have built a brand around us, what it is that we have got to offer to people. And so we're going to dive a little deeper, but know that the first thing is it's important if you want a real business.
Absolutely. And secondly is your brand will really showcase the value that you add. And I get a lot of questions about this, like, Ruth, what is value added? Like, what is value on social media? Value really is where you become that go-to person for something. So if you think about your prospect and what they're looking for and what problems they have, when you become the go-to person, the person who solves their problems, that's value added, right? It gives people a reason to come back and see your social media, to connect with you. And it really showcases you as the expert, as, a person that is valuable in the marketplace. And it showcases you, not your company. And always remember, people will join people that they know, like, and trust. I'm sure you've heard that before. And by building a strong personal brand online, you can actually take people from the cold market who don't know you yet, have them find your brand and come to know, like, and trust you through your social media posts, to the point that they actually reach out and are interested in joining. So value add is huge. You become that valuable resource to people so that they come back and see you over and over again, as opposed to just posting about your products and your company name.
Absolutely. So, just to kind of go into that a little deeper with that know, like, and trust, you think about this, when you get started in a business, right, especially network marketing, you're told to make a list of everybody who you know. And I know when I say that, people are probably cringing, going, I hate that list, right? But the thing is, the reason that we do that, and the reason that you're taught that, is because that's where you have influence, right? So you've got influence when it's people who you already know, because you've got that know, like, and trust with them. They're gonna, some people, not all your friends will be like this, obviously, but there are going to be some people that you're like, listen, I'm doing this, you need to sign up, give me your credit card. And they're like, okay, I'll do whatever you're going to do, right? Well, the great thing about social media is you're going to take, like Ruth said, the people from the cold market, and you're going to learn to warm them up through your content. And it could, we're going to obviously be diving way deeper into this over the next several weeks. But it could be through your normal written posts. It could be through videos. It could be through Facebook Lives. It's going to be all your content. And I'll say that this was probably one of the biggest game changers for me, because up until this point, I remember, being at a company event or something and seeing somebody on stage and going, man, I want what they have, but I'm just not like them, right? So defining my success by them, I'm not loud and boisterous on stage. I'm not like super outgoing. Well, guess what? Not everybody is, right? But when you can start being yourself, your authentic self out there on social media, it's going to build that know, like, and trust with the people who are going to be your perfect prospect. And it's so interesting. You'll start to attract people who've got the same backgrounds as you, people who have lots of the same interests as you, because not everybody fits the same mold. And that's, again, why this is so great. And it doesn't matter that there's a lot of people who have built a brand. You're very unique, and you're going to find the other unique individuals like that. And when you do, and you build that know, like, and trust, people will join you. And you will meet people that literally, it'll be so funny. You'll meet them and they're going to talk to you like you're their best friend, and this is the first time you've met in person, but they watch so much of what you do, they feel like you're their best friend. So I'm really excited for you guys to learn a bit more about this.
And I love that you brought that up, Trish, because sometimes when we first start thinking about personal brands, we think that maybe we're not interesting enough or dynamic enough or good enough, right? And I remember when I first started thinking about my own personal brand, I had some of those self-limiting beliefs. I thought I was too old. I'm an accountant. I thought I was too boring. And really what happened was when I got outside, I put those excuses aside and just started really showing up authentically online, I started to attract people like me. And in fact, that's how Trish and I met. We would not be here today if we hadn't built our personal brands, because we have a lot in common, right? So you'll end up attracting the people when you show up authentically. And the fourth point about personal branding is it allows you to be top of mind. So what that means is, let's say you decide that you want to build a brand around, creating wealth online, just as an example. So you want people to remember you when they think, oh, I need to make some money online. Or let's say you want to brand yourself around, being a fitness and wellness expert. So you want to be memorable. You want to be that go-to person who is known for that, right? So there's lots of things you can build your brand around, and we're going to dive deep into that over the next few sessions. But really having that brand, when people start thinking about, solving problems and things that come up in their life and they're looking for a solution, when you have a strong personal brand, you become top of mind and you become the one they reach out to.
So next,
go ahead, Trish.
So next, we're just going to dive into the 5 golden rules.
So number 1 is having focus. So what does focus mean in branding? It means you're keeping your message focused for your target audience. Your target audience is really like your pool of perfect prospects, right? Those people that if they knocked on your door tomorrow morning and said, hey, I've been following you and I'm ready to join your business, or I'm ready to buy your products. That's your target audience. So having focus around the message that you put in front of them will make it much easier in 2 regards. Number 1, the type of content you're going to create consistently. So it'll be meaningful content, and it's going to allow your personal brand to be really memorable, right? When we're all over the map with our focus or lack of focus, people will not really understand what we stand for. They won't understand what we do. So you want to always have focus. You're going to want to keep your message and your content focused on one niche topic to start with. That's going to help you become memorable. So the more narrow and focused your niche, the easier it is for people to remember who you are and what value you offer or what problems you solve for people. If you're all over the map, what happens is you're going to confuse everyone, and it becomes really tough for people to follow you because they never know what they're going to get. They're looking for something specific. So you want to give them a very niche down set of content.
Ruth, that is such a great point too. I remember this is one of the areas I think I struggled with the most when getting started on social media, because I felt like I had so much knowledge and knew so much in so many areas that I just wanted to give it all out there, right? It was like, oh, let me give all this value. But again, nobody had a clue what I was doing or what I was known for. But once I was able to really just define it a little bit more, and 1, it made creating that content so much easier, but 2, that's when people started really reaching out more and following. So I love this. It's such an important rule to follow.
And the other thing about focus is sometimes we have FOMO around focus, so fear of missing out. And I know I had that. So when I first started building my brand, I wanted to appeal to every single network marketer out there because I was trying to attract entrepreneurs and business types of people. And I didn't care if they were 18 years old or 85 years old. I wanted to attract them all, right? And what happened was my message and my brand was so watered down that I ended up attracting no one. I was so afraid I was going to miss a group of people. But in doing that, I ended up attracting no one. And it wasn't until I got highly specific in terms of who I wanted to attract that people started to show up. So don't have FOMO, don't have fear of missing out.
So true. The next rule, guys, golden rule number 2 is to be genuine. Now this one, honestly, this one was pretty easy for me. But it's one of those things too, it's hard because you're trying to figure out, well, what can I say? What can I not say? Like, I want to be honest, and that's one of the biggest things is be honest, show up as you. And I think when you can not worry so much about what you think the other people want to hear, but you can just show up and be yourself when you're doing things, it's going to come out and be so much easier. Because I remember, when I would try to come up with specific content, I would, again, because I was trying to appeal to so many people and things like that, I didn't come off as genuine. But when you really can think about that, it's easy to get genuine. But show up as you ×2, show up with energy, right? And that's a big one because, you don't want to show up on social media like this where people are wondering what you're doing. Like, they're not going to listen to you. But if you can show up and have that energy and really just be you, it's super powerful. And I think a lot of times, when we're first starting to build online, when we're in the network marketing industry, it's that we've got this imposter syndrome. We think that, we don't have something to show people. So I think that's where sometimes people lose the authenticity too, because they're trying to be something they're not. But if you can think about what it is you've had success with, like, you've had way more success than you probably are ever going to give yourself credit for up until this point. And, I think another thing with that is that you can be an introvert and still create a powerful brand. Like, Ruth and I are both introverts. People have a hard time believing that. I know we've been on lives before and people are commenting, wait, what? But we are introverts, but we can still come up, because we're so authentic and we believe so wholeheartedly with everything that we do, that comes out in everything that we put out there, and it makes it much more powerful. Again, being authentic, again, making it show up as more energy and everything, and creating that stronger brand.
And funny story, Trish, around showing up as you ×2. And I share this because I want you guys to know that your journey, everything you do is okay. It's not going to be perfect in the beginning. And Facebook gently reminds me in my memories of some of the things that I've done in the past. And one of my very first videos, you have to realize I'm a CPA, I'm an accountant, very conservative. My very first live video, I got dressed up in a suit. I went and I dressed in a suit, and I was very professional because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And the lighting was really dark because I didn't really want people to see me. And I was talking like this. I'm really excited about this business opportunity I'm in. I look back now, and that was hardly excitement. So show up as you ×2 with some energy there.
Oh, I love it, love it, love it.
Okay, so the next one, guys, is tell your story. So nothing connects people closer to you than your story. So what you want to do is you want to bring people through your story of struggle, your story of triumph, the things that happened in between. And if you think about it, I want you to do this exercise. Think about the people that you follow on social media right now. Do you know their story? What are the memorable parts of their story that you feel connected with? Right? So just think about it. I know when I follow Matt, he's got an incredible story, and many of you have heard it. And when I think of Matt, I think of him standing in that parking lot in the rain, just taking his shower. Like things were bad back then. So having that authentic story that people will remember you by. So think about it. Like, when we talk about things online, sometimes we're really surface level, really surface level. And people just don't connect with that. They want to hear the story. They want to hear what happened. They want to hear about the authentic struggle. It makes you real. And that's what people will really connect with. And, my story is a constant evolution, right? I talk a lot about back when I first started in network marketing and I was a single mom, and it broke my heart that I could not send my daughters to the activities they used to enjoy because I was broke. I couldn't afford skating. I couldn't afford horseback riding. And then I was introduced to network marketing, and I made my first couple $100. And the joy on my kids' faces when I could send them to their activities, my daughter riding that horse, just a big smile on her face, made my heart just melt. So it's stories like that, guys, that people will go, they'll see part of themselves in those stories. Might not be the exact same story, but they'll see part of themselves, and that's going to allow them to connect with you on a human level. So facts tell, stories sell, right? So be vulnerable, tell your story. So some examples of stories are health journeys, right? Health journeys usually have huge stories of struggle to success, business breakthroughs, life lessons, travel stories, your story of struggle in your business and a success that you had along the way. So tell your story. It's going to allow people to really connect with you on that human level. And again, that's what's going to start creating that know, like, and trust.
Ruth, I just want to add a little to that, because I love how you shared your story and made the comment that stories will be different, because not all of us, right, were showering in a parking lot, living out of our car. That's Matt's story. But it doesn't mean that your story is any less powerful if that wasn't your story, right? You still have something that's super powerful. For Ruth, it was, being able to, like she said, to, pay for some extra things for her kids. Whatever your story is, it's going to connect with somebody. And if, like Ruth said too, if you're surface level, people aren't going to come through. They have to hear that struggle. That's what's going to make them connect with you. That's what's going to make it so that you've really got that strong connection of building that know, like, and trust with somebody. Because again, when you hear that, you're not going to forget it, but you just want to find whatever it is that you have, and again, be authentic with it. Don't add to it. Don't try to embellish it or anything like that to make your story better. It doesn't work, guys. That means you're not being authentic. Truly be authentic and with what it is that you're sharing, but make it yours.
That's a really good point. I'm glad you raised it, Trish, because that authenticity is what sells on social media now. So if you have a story and then next week or next month you go, oh, my story's not really that good, I'm going to add some more stuff to it, and people are watching you, they're going to catch on, right? They're going to go, oh, well, I heard this story and now I'm hearing this story and it just got a whole bunch bigger. So you just really want to show up authentically on social media and trust the process. Trust the process that your people are going to find commonality in your story and they will connect with it. They'll find a piece of themselves in your story, and that's what creates the connection.
Love it. The next thing is consistency, golden rule number 4. And I got to tell you guys, if you've been in this industry, you have probably heard this word a million times if you've gone to trainings, right? Because every single thing you do in this business, and honestly, in my opinion, in life, needs consistency to get results. But on social media especially, you have to show up consistently. You just do. Consistency in your posting is going to, by showing up, it's going to create that brand recognition and that trust, but also it's going to work with all the social media algorithms. So that's the other important thing. It's not just you being there for your audience. It's so that the social media platforms are going to put your content in front of more audiences, in front of more people. So it's really, really, really important to make sure that you're doing that. And Also, when you get really clear with what your message is, showing up consistently with that same message is again going to build that brand recognition and really allow you to have those deeper connections with your audience. Now, it doesn't mean that you obviously get up and say the same exact thing every single day. It just means that you're taking whatever it is and finding little topics that you can work around with different stories, different teachings, different examples, just a different day of doing something, and just finding an analogy. It's still gonna, stay consistent and still deliver that same message, but in a different way with people.
And lastly, golden rule number 5 is be okay with failure. It takes time to build a brand. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a combination of these 5 golden rules over time that is going to create massive attraction for your brand. So it takes time. Also, my biggest advice throughout this course and for everything that you do, both in your business and online, is get really good at self-evaluation. And this is something that I do in my business all the time. I know Trish does it. And what we like to do is we like to look at things that we've done, like be okay with putting something out there to test it out, and then taking a good look at it and asking ourselves 3 questions. What worked? What didn't work? And what might we do differently to cause a better result, right? So if you're out there and you're starting to build your brand and, it's going to take time, realize that. But if you're just not seeing enough traction, you're going to want to tune into that and ask yourself what you might do differently to get a different result, right? And be okay if it doesn't work out exactly the way you wished it had in the beginning. I know for me, it took me time to really define my brand and to create that attraction. But was it worth it? Oh my gosh, yes. Because if I hadn't done it, I would not be here today. I know I wouldn't be, because, my business would have probably dried up because of COVID. So the best brands, guys, fail at first. They do. Take a look at some of the big companies out there that have failed at first and then turn their brand around, like Apple, like I was going to say Blockbuster, but they went down. They didn't fix their brand.
Oh, they didn't fix it.
No.
And I just wanted to go into one of the things you said, Ruth, too, with the evaluation. So like Ruth said, this is something we use. In fact, we evaluate together a lot too on different things, because social media is ever changing. And the cool thing is, and you're going to learn more about this, is the different platforms are going to give you insights. So they give you analytics to be looking at that are also going to help you evaluate some of your things. But when doing that evaluation, those 3 questions that Ruth had, I'm just going to add a little tidbit to it. When you're first asking, okay, what's working? We do something called a 3-2-1 evaluation. So you list 3 things that are working in your business. They can be little, right? They don't need to be big. It doesn't have to be a major rank advancement. It doesn't have to be, that you had this incredible month. Like, those are great things, but what are the little things that are going to get you there is what you're really focusing on. And so find 3 things that are working in your business. It may be that you just went out and talked to some more people today. It may be that you've consistently posted for, a long time. There's different things that it can be, but you want to start with 3 things that are working. The next thing is 2 things that are not working. And you notice we're listing fewer things that aren't working than what is working, right? And there's a reason for that, okay? So, because I think a lot of times we can be so critical to ourselves that we could list a million things that aren't working, but we don't want to do that. We want to list 3 that are, 2 that are not. And then lastly, what you do is you want to pick 1 thing that you might do differently, because you want to know if this thing is that you're changing is actually going to make a difference. And if you change too many things at one time, you're not going to know which item it was that made it better or worse, for that matter. So knowing what isn't working and then figuring out 1 thing you could do differently to change that.
That's really great, Trish. I'm glad you went into more depth there, because you can apply this to your business. You can also apply it to your social media posting strategy. So taking a look at a post and asking yourself, those questions, and coming up with one thing you might do differently with your next post to test out what's going to work better for you. So that evaluation process is so important as you're growing your business and as you're growing your brand on social media.
So next, we want to talk a little bit about the 4-step social recruiting system. And we have given it the acronym CARE, C-A-R-E. And so the first thing is clarity, right? So this is going to go along with everything that we've been talking about, already with, knowing, what your brand is, knowing, who it is that you want to attract. But that's the thing, you want to get super clear on this. You want to have that clarity on who your ideal business prospect is or your perfect customer and the value that you're going to offer that person. Because again, if you can be crystal clear on who it is that you want to attract, it's going to allow you to come up with better content. It's going to allow you to speak the right language, right? I mean, think about this. If you're wanting to attract somebody who's from the corporate world, it's going to be a very different language than somebody who might be in the teaching world, right? I know a school teacher, you're going to talk a very different language. Or if, you're looking for someone specifically that you want to, recruit into the business, it's going to be a different language than if you're trying to just, get them to use a weight loss product, right? So it's going to be very different. So being very clear on who that ideal prospect is going to help you and really be that first important step in that social recruiting system.
And don't fear, over the next few weeks, we're going to dive into each of these 4 steps in a lot of detail so that you will become crystal clear on each of these things. This is really an overview of what we're going to be diving deep into over the next few weeks. So don't fear if you don't quite have it yet, it's coming. So the second thing is attract. So we've got clarity now. Now we have to attract people. So there's 2 things we need to do to attract people. Number 1, understand where our perfect prospect hangs out on social media. Where are we going to find these people? Where are they? And then what kind of content to put in front of them to attract them to us so that they start to see our content and come to know, like, and trust us.
Which leads us into the 3rd step, right? It's building that relationship with someone. So it doesn't, whether you're using online or offline, when you're in this industry, it's still about building that relationship with someone. And so again, you're now doing it on social media. You're doing it in a different way. But again, when you're really clear, when you're speaking the right language, when you're being authentic, you're building that know, like, and trust with people. And again, when you're very consistent with that content and effective with the way you communicate it, you're really going to start to build that relationship. And I know when Ruth and I first got started, we used to go live on social media at the same time every single day. And I remember there being people on, I would have a lot of the same people who would always join me live. And then there would be other people joining as well. But it got to the point that there were people who would comment and talk and, oh, well, where are you today? Are you at home in Arizona? Are you this or that? Like, people actually having conversations because you've built this relationship with them. And, I've been at events before where I've had people come up and hug me, because they've seen a YouTube video or other things. Again, it built that relationship with them because we were so crystal clear on what it was we were talking about that it became super attractive. And then you start to build that relationship. Absolutely.
And last but not least, enroll. So we don't want to miss that step. We've got clarity, we've attracted people, we've used content strategies to create relationships, and now it's time to have the enrolling conversation, right? Whether it's bringing in a new customer or a new recruit into your team, without that last piece, people in general have really tough times making a decision on their own. They do. If left to their own devices, they will not make a decision. So we have to insert ourselves and help them through that process. And we're going to really be diving into that enrollment conversation and kind of the flow you can take people through, that by the end, they're pretty much asking you, okay, how do I get started? Where do I join? And those types of questions. So it's a very easy flow But that enrollment conversation, a lot of people avoid it. And I know that because I see a lot of people out there, great all the way up until the end of point 3. And then they're afraid to have the enrollment conversation because they might lose the person. The person might say no. But here's the thing, we didn't have them anyway. They're not in our business anyway. So there's no point in continuing to romance people. We've got to eventually bring it to a close, either a yes or a no. So the enrollment conversation is an important step.
And just to add a little piece of that too, Ruth, I know for you and I, when we started, when we were really going on social media and really then started taking everything to build our businesses, what we found is that enrolling people became pretty easy. And I know it sounds crazy. You're probably going, oh my gosh, I want it to be easy. And the thing is, it will become easy because when you follow these steps and when you use the tools that social media has, you're able to get in front of people so much more than you would building a traditional way. Because they're able to find you on social media and see more of your content, listen to more of your video, do more things that, like you would never make that many phone calls to follow up with somebody. So by the time somebody's ready to enroll and you start to have that conversation with them, their know, like, and trust is so strong with you. And they've, seen you succeed and they want to succeed so badly that they're like, what do I need to do? Just sign me up, send me the link, do what we need to do. And so it's a very different conversation because to us, we were like, people they now want to be with you. So it takes away the convincing. It takes away a lot of that stuff that you've, probably had to do in the past because of the fact that this relationship is much stronger.
And if you think about it, a lot, I know in the beginning, I did a lot of cold messaging. I tested it out. I tested out cold messaging people to see if they were open to looking at an opportunity. And I got very few responses back. And when you think about it, it's because the people had no idea who I was. They didn't know, like, and trust me. They hadn't seen my content. They didn't have a chance to get warmed up to who I am and what I had to offer. So it was a big chasing game. And getting to the close, like to actually bring someone in my business, was really tough. But as Trish said, when you attract people, when they spend time kind of window shopping, watching you, watching your brand, watching your videos, watching your content, they're going to feel like they know, like, and trust you already. And that conversation is so easy.
So where to get started? This is always the big question, right? And so what we're going to be talking about tonight and through a lot of what we do is on Facebook. That is where we built, a huge portion of our businesses as well, is all through Facebook. And so one of the questions we always get the most is, well, where do I go? Do I do a personal profile? Do I do a business page? What is it? So what we like to tell people is, first of all, start where you currently have an engaged audience. Okay, it's super important that you do that. Most likely at this point in time for you, it's on your personal profile. For most people, that's really where it is. Now, when we really first got started on Facebook, we were really directing a lot of people to business pages, but Facebook has changed a lot of things, and it's not necessarily the best or first place that people should go anymore. But again, it's going to depend on you. It's going to depend on what you've done already on social media. Maybe you have a page where you've got a big following already. But the other thing is that, there's pros and cons to both. And so on your personal profile, the pro is, again, that's where you've already got friends and family. You've already got people who know who you are. So you have some know, like, and trust there. But the con sometimes can be they're not the right audience, right? That's not your perfect prospect. That's not, the person who you really want to be attracting. The other thing is that, on your personal profile, that's not where you're going to be running any ads if that's something you want to do. That's not something we're diving into right here, but just, to put that out there. The other thing is on a business page, you're able to get insights. So you're able to get some analytics that Facebook provides for you. And there's also some other business tools that are there, like there's some scheduling features. You can, go into the business side of Facebook and you can, schedule stories, you can schedule posts, you can do some different things. But right now, truly, unless you're going to be running ads or already have a large following, you're going to want to get started on your personal profile. That's where you're going to want to get started. And one of the things that you're going to be learning throughout this whole, these next few weeks with us is how to grow your following on your personal profile as well. We're going to be going into that so that you can learn how to get more eyes on your content and not just the same friends and family over and over and over.
So let's get ready to set up our personal profile to attract. So the first thing we need to have is a profile picture. So if we are building a brand around us, it's a personal brand, it's got to be a picture of us. And it should be an inviting picture, meaning we've got to have a nice smile like Matt and Trish. We have to look inviting. We have to look friendly. We have to look professional, right? Because we are building a business. So it shouldn't be a picture of your dog or your cat or your kids. It shouldn't be, my screen sharing has, 1 second, guys, sorry, has jammed up a little bit. So it shouldn't be a blank screen because we want a picture of you. It shouldn't be a flower. It shouldn't be a scary picture that might scare people away. We want it to be a nice picture of you. It doesn't have to be a professional photo, okay? It doesn't have to be done by a photographer or anything like that. But as long as it's a nice picture of you, it looks like you. It's not a picture of you 25 years ago. It's currently you, and it looks like you and you're smiling and it's inviting, it's good.
And honestly, guys, just real quickly too, with today's phones, with all the smartphones and things like that, getting a really good picture isn't difficult anymore. It's not like years ago with, having a camera and getting, needing to go get film, processed and all that. It's pretty easy to get a really good photo just with your phone these days. So now we're going to dive a little bit into the cover photo. So, when you're thinking about the cover photo, how do you want people to feel about you, right? Think about this. When you go to somebody's profile and you see their big background picture, what does it make you think about them? How does it make you feel about them? And that's what you want to be thinking about when you choose something. You want to let people know who you are. You want to let them know how you can help them. It's a place where you can highlight your lifestyle, maybe your family, different activities or passions that you like to do. But it needs to be inviting, and it's got to be something that really represents you. So again, people can start to feel that connection with you. And we've got a few examples here for you. So here's Matt, right? So right up front, you can see, #1 best-selling author, international speaker, millionaire mentor. So a great photo of Matt here. He's smiling, he's happy, but also now people know what it is he does. And he's got the low clip on there too, so people can say, oh, wow, he's also been seen on, these different news networks. So it really tells a lot about him just in that one picture. This one's mine. I help network marketers scale and grow their businesses on social media using a simple duplicatable system. So the other thing, and you're going to learn more about this in coming weeks, is we're going to show you how to also use these pictures to guide people where you want them, to send them in the direction that you want them. But again, here, this one kind of shows a little bit about my lifestyle. Like we live in Arizona, but we love to go hiking. We love running. We love traveling. We love a lot of different things, but it's got my name. It's got me with a nice smile. But it's also sharing a little bit about my lifestyle, and then it also shows what I do with my business. And then here is Ruth's, and see another smiling photo, right? And same thing here. She says, Ruth Sheridan coaching. So letting people know that she does coaching and helping you ditch the grind and build an abundant income online, and a free masterclass. So you can see here, she's got an arrow pointing down for people to click, where she's going to be showing them 3 steps to grow an abundant income online. So again, very clear with what it is she's doing, very inviting, and just sharing a little bit about, really people can, see some of what, she's all about with this. And don't do this. And when we say that, it's really, how many of you have seen these like crazy photos that people put out that aren't attractive, or they're just really random, and people are trying to guess what it is that the page is, and then shares nothing about you. So those are things that you definitely don't want to do, because someone's going to go to your page and they're just going to go, what's this person? And they're going to leave just as fast as they came. When you've got something that's super inviting, people are going to start clicking around your page. They're going to start scrolling through your feed. They're going to really start diving into you to learn a little bit more about you. But if you've got, the little icon with the guy grayed out, or you've got a picture that just doesn't relate at all to anything that you're doing, it will not resonate with people, and they're just going to leave your page, and you will not be top of mind for them at all.
The next section that we have available to us on our Facebook profile is the info and details section. And what I want you to start thinking about, we're going to start training you to think like marketers, right? All of the areas on your Facebook profile, I want you to think about them like prime real estate. This is prime real estate where we can get a message across to people. We can let people know what we're all about. We can invite people through calls to action to do things, right? So every area on your Facebook is like prime real estate. So in the info and details, you can share things like how you help people, what your value add is, what you do for people, how you solve their problems, right? Don't put down your network marketing company name as your employer. I did it years ago, and we want to brand us. We want to brand ourselves, not our network marketing company. Our network marketing company is super important, but always remember, when people are joining a business, they're joining you. They're joining because of you. And then they're looking at your network marketing opportunity to make sure that the products and the leadership and the compensation plan and all of those things are a good fit for who they are, right? So they're joining you. So you always want to build around your personal brand, not your network marketing company's name. No link straight to your company replicated website, because number one, no one will click. They just won't. And secondly, you really, it just looks salesy. And there was a day, years ago when network marketing and selling things on social media was relatively new. That was back in the beginning of Facebook, right? When Facebook was new, and you could get away with those things. But now think about how you feel when you scroll through your news feed and you're just delivered links to buy things, and maybe someone is doing it. They've got their replicated website up, or they've got pictures of their products up. Generally, we tend to scroll by because we've become numb to that. So keep that off of your info and details, because we want people attracted to you so that you can have the conversation first and then provide the link, either obviously once they ask for it, or once you offer it up and they agree to have you send a link through Messenger.
So I love this, because first of all, guys, we can tell you guys to make these changes, and we laugh a lot about it, because everything we're sharing with you, just so you know, we were guilty of. Okay, so if you're looking at this and going, oh my gosh, I've done this or I've done that, it's okay. We have too. We've all done it. But I can tell you, cleaning it up is important. So it's time for some housekeeping. All right. So you might be thinking right now too, going, oh my gosh, I've done all these things. It's okay. It's really okay. You can clean it up. You can, draw a line in the sand. I'm never going to do this again. You can change it going forward. It's going to be great. But the first thing that you're going to want to do, and for some of you, it might take a while. It took me a few hours to really get through things. Probably you too, Ruth, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go through and remove any pictures of your products and references to your network marketing company name. Now, we mentioned on some other things before, that, as you start to get more credibility, you might have a post on your page. I know, I've got some from being in a company event where you can see the name behind a little bit. Stuff like that is okay, especially as you really start to brand yourself. But what you don't want to be doing is just putting the name of your company and your products like forefront. Like, you don't want them as your cover photo, okay? You don't want them as your profile picture, and you definitely don't want them in the descriptions. So first, we want you to go through, remove pictures of all your products and references to your network marketing company's name. The other thing, this one is super important, especially today. Like, this has always been important, but now this is like over the top important. Probably one of the more important rules, I should say. Remove controversial posts. Okay, so I am just going to stress this. Don't post anything about politics. Don't post anything about religion. Okay, it doesn't matter what your intention is. It doesn't matter which side you're on. You will automatically lose 50% of your audience every single time. And likely it's going to cause some kind of a problem that will, get people to stop following you, stop, watching your stuff. Like, it's just not good. And even though, we are here to attract people that we're like-minded with, that we're, have some of the same beliefs and values, these are two areas you could agree with everything with somebody and still be off on these two things. It just can happen. And I just, I know so many people that have destroyed their reputation, by putting controversial stuff on their page. So just don't do it. And last, really remove any pictures that make you look edifiable. So, if you had a really fun night out and you've got some crazy party photos like we've got here, guys, it's going to be really hard for somebody to edify you if that's you, right? Oh, they're such a great person, they're a leader, they're this or that. Really? Because I see this, right? Now, who knows what this is, right? You could have filled these cans up with something totally different and poured it, but people don't know that. And the bottom line is you want to be authentic, but you don't want one silly post to destroy everything that you've done. You're working hard to get followers. You're working hard to really grow your business and build your business. And, posting things like this will allow you to lose that credibility and following way faster than it took you to get that to begin with. So, just really be conscientious of what you are posting. And if you question whether it's appropriate or not, it probably isn't appropriate.
That's a really good rule of thumb, Trish, is if you feel like it's not quite right, it's probably not quite right. So we have homework tonight. Every week, we're going to have some homework for you. So this week, what we want you to do for your homework is, number one, set your cover photo. So go through your phone or through your photos and pick one that looks inviting, that's current, that's up to date, so that when people get on Zoom with you, you look like your picture, right? So it's the authenticity factor as well. So set your profile photo. So your profile photo, your cover photo, that's that banner at the back. Fill out your info and details and clean up your timeline. So go through those things. It's going to give you a really good foundation so that as we move forward with the content that you're going to post, with some more in-depth knowledge about your own personal brand and the types of posts to do, you're going to have a really good base to work with.
Yeah, and one of the things too, guys, you're going to notice as you are changing your cover photo and your profile photo, and you pick a really great photo, you're going to get a ton of interaction on your profile. So make sure as people are interacting with you that you're not just liking what they posted, that you're actually liking and then going ahead and comment as well. Get some conversations going with people and use this as something to really start to boost that algorithm on your page. And I like to look at homework as fun work. You're building your business, that's fun. So we joke here a lot, and that's what we call it at our house, fun work, not homework. And also the accountability.
I'll cover that.
Perfect.
On the next section.
Awesome.
So awesome. Well, you can take that part out or unshare, and then we'll get into it. So very cool. Appreciate you guys. That was a lot of foundational training. So I know we've got a handful of people who are at different levels. And, we want to go through and make sure we're, covering everything in a step-by-step way. So I appreciate you guys did an amazing job of really laying the foundation. And then, of course, in the future weeks, we'll get into each of the details and the care method. And I'm telling you, these guys have some really cool things for you guys. So pumped about getting into that. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And I'm going to get into... this week is the first, love my haircut. Thank you. This week is really the first week where we're getting into some, tactical training, right? And, as you guys know, being here in the inner circle, it's about really getting mastery in the 3 different strategic pillars of success in network marketing. Okay. We know there is the inner game, there's the tactical skills, the external skills, and then there's your level of leadership. And this week, we're really going to kind of cover all 3. And so Trisha and Ruth went through a lot of tactical foundational training as it relates to the social recruiting system. And I am going to hit on very strong component of your inner game and a strong component of leadership. And really understanding at a deep level what I'm going through is something that will equip you to be a much more powerful leader. So, and I'm just going to tell you, for me, what this is about. Like, why I do what I do is about really one word, and that one word is transformation. And if I have an intention with this training program, it is to help each and every one of you become not just leaders, but transformational leaders. Okay. And a transformational leader is essentially when you're able to help someone step into a new way of being. That's where power comes from. Power comes from being able to step into a new way of being, a way that you didn't show up as in your previous life. Okay. In your previous self, rather. And I think that's what network marketing is all about. Like, that's become my life work. It's why I do what I do. It gets to the point where you're making a lot of money and the money's great, but what's going to drive you to produce more than the money? What's going to fulfill you much more than just the money? And before I get into the strategy specifically, I want to talk about motivation. Okay. So in order to step into your power as a leader and for you to be ultimately effective, you need to have a very solid understanding of what drives human behavior. Because the more that you can tap into your own motivations and the motivations of others, the more likely you will be able to move people. And see, this is whether we want to admit it or not. Like, I know some of you are like, well, I'm not in a place where I can powerfully move people. Understand that that is just a certain level of thinking that you have right now. No matter what we're doing, our job is to move people. And so even on social media, why do we tell our stories? So Trish and Ruth talked about telling your story and being, authentic with the story. The more vulnerable you can be with your story, the more likely you will be to actually move someone. And so understand that your story is not just like, I have the story of showering in the rain. And I tell that story all the time because it connects people to me. Like, when people think Matt Morris, they'll think, like, a lot of people think, oh, he's the guy that was homeless and bathed in gas station bathroom, showered naked in the rain. Okay. I want to create that connection because the stronger connection, the more top of mind awareness that you have. Okay. But understand your story is not just the things that you went through. Like, yes, I was homeless. Yes, I bathed in gas station bathrooms, whatever it was. But the emotions that I went through, my emotional journey is also part of my story that I tell even more than the story about living out of my car. So if, like, why you guys are here, you saw one of my trainings, right? And through the training, I know I did this because I do it just about every time. I talk about, like, hey, yes, I've had a good amount of success, but it wasn't always this way. It took me 5 years to get to a full-time income. And so I know what it feels like to be frustrated. I know what it feels like to feel defeated. I know what it feels like to bang your head against the wall and just feel like you can't, no matter what you do, you can't seem to make it work. I get it. I know what it feels like to have people who joined after me, but they passed me up. I mean, there were so many times I wanted to quit. There were so many times I thought, maybe I'm just not cut out for this network marketing thing. And there were so many times where like I couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. See, that's part of my story. And that's part of understanding your ideal customer, which we'll get into in future weeks as well. And the more you can relate to people through your story, the more powerful you'll be as far as being able to actually move someone. Okay. And so let's talk about what drives human behavior as far as motivation is concerned. And I want you to write this down because this is not something for you to just get yourself. It's something for you to teach as you grow as a leader. So there are 3 levels of motivation. Okay. Write this down. 3 levels of motivation. The first level of motivation is money, it's things, and it's experiences. Okay, really in that order. So money, things, and experiences. And this is usually, honestly, where people start. So most people join network marketing for the money. That's why I joined network marketing. Most people, if they're honest, they join for money. They want to make more money. They want more things. They want a better lifestyle. And while it's the most common reason why people join, it's not the most common reason why they stay. And here's what you got to get if you want to be a transformational leader, that things and money is the most shallow level of motivation. And when I say shallow, I don't mean bad. Don't take it as bad at all. So in fact, you actually want to use this level, even though it's the most shallow level of motivation, you certainly want to use this in your motivational ability, in your ability to move people. So there's nothing wrong with wanting a yacht. There's nothing wrong with wanting a nice home. There's nothing wrong with wanting a Ferrari. Okay, so it's important that we don't make material desires wrong. In fact, personally, what I've done over the years is I throw fuel on that motivational fire. So if one of my upcoming leaders, someone that I've sponsored, if they want a Ferrari, I'm going to have an awareness about Ferraris. Like, what kind do you like? What color do you like? And I might send them a picture of that. I might, and I've done this before where I pull into the Ferrari dealership in my city and actually get a Ferrari brochure and I mail it to the person, to my leader who wants the Ferrari. Okay. So I want to stoke the fire. And here's what I really want. This is my goal. I want to help people become so successful that they work like crazy to go buy a Ferrari so they can realize that it's not really that important. So I wanted one for the longest time. I mean, I just, for whatever reason, I thought, man, it's going to give me so much significance. It's going to be amazing. I worked like crazy, hit the top rank in my company. There was actually a car bonus that would pay for it. And so I got a Ferrari. And here's what I got. It was kind of an empty calorie goal, right? Now, I know there's some people who are like car guys, car fanatics, and it's maybe not an empty calorie goal, but for me, that's what I realized. So I understood after I had it a while, it was way more of a motivation for my team than it was for me, okay? And a quick caution here, as you start making more money, be very smart with your money. I don't believe in the whole fake it till you make it. I don't think you need a Ferrari. My enrollment ratio wasn't any better when I had a Ferrari. It was good for generating leads. It motivated my team. My personal closing ratio, I didn't see much of an improvement because people were like, oh yeah, he has a Ferrari. I don't have a Ferrari, so I can't be successful. So you don't need those things, right? So many people think, oh, if I could just get to the point where I had a Mercedes or I had a luxury exotic car, I'd sign up everyone. You're not going to sign up everyone. That's not smart, right? So be smart with your money. Be smart in teaching this to your leaders. Now, it was actually worked out to be a great investment because I bought a Ferrari. I bought it several years old. If you buy an exotic car several years old, it tends to hold its value pretty well. In fact, it was one of the cheapest cars I ever owned. I think maybe my first 2 or 3 cars were cheaper for sure. But I think I sold it for $9,000 less than I paid for it. And it was a pretty expensive car. So it held its value in the 4 years that I had it. So it could be a great investment. And this is what I told to my leaders. And in many cases, they don't understand it. They want a brand new one. They go buy a brand new Ferrari. They lose 20, 30% as soon as they drive it off the lot. And so a lot of what I'm passionate about is financial responsibility. I'm not just teaching people how to make a lot of money, but teaching them how to keep a lot of money and expand their money. I love to teach people how to, make a lot of residual income through network marketing and then use that residual income to go buy more residual income, but that'll come another day. And, I got like when I was in Amway, here's what I got. It was all about the dream. There's a reason why Amway became the biggest network marketing company in the world. They still are to this day. And if you go to events, when I was in Amway in the 90s, it was all about the dream. I mean, they even parked, my upline had a Dodge Viper. They parked it in the convention center right by the stage, and it motivated the heck out of me. I was, like willing to bend earth to be able to go sponsor people and get out of my comfort zone. So we want to use the first level of motivation for sure, for yourself and for others. And here's what great leaders do. Great leaders help people to start dreaming again. Understand that so many people's dreams have been beaten down. I mean, when we're kids, think about it. We have these big dreams. We're going to be a millionaire. If you ask a kid like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? They're going to say something like, I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to be a race car driver. They're not saying, well, maybe I'll be a millionaire. They're not saying like, I hope I can be a millionaire. No, they're saying I'm going to be a millionaire. Like they have that level of certainty because no one, like people at that point haven't beaten up their dreams. But as they start getting older, they start believing in this lie of realistic. And you got to ask yourself, have I been living this lie of realistic? Like, oh, it's not really realistic for me to be a millionaire. And I think I shared it on the previous training. There are 56.1 million millionaires in the world. There's nothing unrealistic about being a millionaire. And so a lot of what I'm doing as a leader is I'm preaching this message. I'm getting people to start dreaming again. So what's the first level of motivation? Money, things, experiences. Okay, nothing wrong with that, but it's the most shallow. What's deeper? So the second level of motivation is recognition and relationships. So sometimes people have a hard time agreeing with me with this unless they've been in the profession for a while, but understand people will always do more for recognition and relationships than they will for the money. Now, a lot of people deny it again, but I'm telling you, any $1 million earner is going to tell you that the business is about much more than the money. Now, this is why the best network marketing companies and the best leaders spend so much time recognizing their people and building relationships with their people. And I'll just tell you, like, it's one of the things that I got and my mentor really got, like, built this incredibly strong relationship with me. Amazing job of recognizing me. And I will tell you, in the company that I was with, we built a team, my organization, 2.5 million customers in 40 plus countries around the world, about $3 billion in sales. I think the company did close to 5 million total, about $5 billion in sales total. And there was a period of time for about a 3-year time frame. The company had financial issues, not being paid on time, right? And what's crazy about it is we lost very few leaders left, even though many of us weren't being paid on time. I mean, had over $2 million worth of unpaid commissions. I didn't even leave because I had such a strong relationship with the founder of the company. I believed in him. And unfortunately, things didn't work out, but it was like the greatest example of people not even getting paid and staying because we did such an incredible job of recognizing people and such an incredible job of building relationships. Okay, so it's incredibly important that we as leaders make it a priority to recognize your people directly. And more important, recognize them publicly. Babies cry for it. Men die for it. I mean, recognition is one of the biggest keys. And, when my mentor, when he was recognizing me, he would say great things about me personally, but when he was doing a training, things like that, he would recognize me publicly. And it made me want to go do more. Understand, when you recognize people for actually taking action, you're not recognizing people for not taking action, right? You're not building them up. You're recognizing the people who are actually doing things. And it can be showing up, like, hey, I'm proud of you for showing up. I'm proud of you for being at every event. This shows me how committed you are, and I know you're going to do this. And never discount the power in building belief in other people. We'll talk more about this, but when you pour your belief into other people, not just the people on your team, but prospects even, when you pour belief into people, in many cases, they'll rise to your level of belief in them. Now, I'm going to give you an advanced strategy as it relates to recognition. Talk about them to the people in their life when they're not around. So if you're with, someone on your team who's like doing well and they're not around, but their wife is, say great things about them to their wife, or vice versa, to their husband, to their boyfriend, to their girlfriend, to their mom, their parents, whatever it is. When they're not around, edify them, build them up, recognize them. And here's what happens is they end up hearing about it. And it means so much more because it's like, hey, they're not just saying it to make me feel good. Like, they mean it. They're talking about it when I'm not even around. It gets back to them. Okay. It's one of the such an incredible thing that you can do as a leader. Now, listen, again, every leader goes through the valley of death, and what keeps them there are the relationships. And this is why I mentioned, if you have a star in your group, someone who is, put some people in the business, they've gotten some customers, take them to dinner, take them to lunch, call them for no reason. Make sure you're developing that friendship, because people join for the money, but everyone struggles, at least at some point, with their income and with their business. Everyone goes through the challenges. So what keeps people in are the relationships, the recognition, and the respect. And I'm going to give you something that you need to write down. It's something that I know I haven't done as good of a job as I should, but it's something I've had top of mind for a lot of years. And because I've had it top of mind, I made it a priority. I've done a way better job with this. And this is something I learned from Mary Kay Ash. I learned it from one of her books that I read many, many years ago, probably 15 years ago. So this was Mary Kay's philosophy, is act as if people are wearing a sign around their neck that says, make me feel special. Make me feel special. And if you'll act like the people that you're working with, have that sign, make me feel special, and just have a trigger in your mind. Like when you're seeing people in your group, when you're seeing anyone for that matter, if you want to magnify everything, your likability factor, your recruiting, your duplication on your team, your retention, focus on making people feel special. Get really good at making people feel special. How do you do that? Compliment people. Tell people what's great about them. Not making things up, but make it a habit on a regular basis. Like when I read this book for the first time, I was like, man, I got to get good at this. And in my daily planner, I wrote down 3 compliments. Every day I had to give 3 compliments. And it was amazingly awkward at first. It was like, I'd go through the day and I'd be like, man, I didn't make the compliments. It wasn't part of my routine, but I started writing it down. 3 compliments a day. You wouldn't think that would be hard. I'm telling you, it was hard for me when I first started. This is a powerful thing that I'm telling you. This is not like a daily power ritual that I'm going to say you got to do or anything like that. But I'm telling you, if you'll do this, it will magnify everything in your life. Okay. So public recognition. And again, it's not just a way to go. It's not just a congratulations when people hit a rank. Like if you're recognizing someone, if someone on your team hits a rank, don't just put, like, chances are you have a Facebook group or something like that where you're like, hey, everyone congratulate so-and-so, or maybe you have a WhatsApp group, whatever it is. No, write like a description, like tell a story about the person, talk about them, tell the world what you admire and what you respect about people. And I'm telling you, it's like not only motivates them, it motivates everyone else to go achieve. So you'll say great things about them themselves. Like it's easy. It's a cop out to just be like, hey, so-and-so hit, whatever this rank is. That's a cop out. No, Write something special about them. It might be the story about how you met. It may be the thing that you appreciate about them, how hard they've worked, the struggle they've overcome, the relationship that they have with their spouse, whatever it is that you appreciate about them. Put it in the post, put it in the recognition post, and put it out there for no reason. Like we have as part of our daily ritual is our, gratitude stack, where you're letting people know why you're grateful. Do things like that publicly on a regular basis. I've got one of my very best friends. He's so good about this. He does it publicly on Facebook. He just every once in a while, maybe every couple times a year, he'll give me a shout out on Facebook. Hey, and Matt Morrison, he writes this long thing about me. It makes me feel amazing. I love this guy. Have people fall in love with you. Now, for most network marketing leaders, when we talk about the levels of motivation, this is where it stops. Very few leaders ever tap into the third level of motivation, and it's why very few leaders ever experience the highest levels of success. So even some of the $1 million earners, in fact, probably many of the $1 million network marketing earners, they don't tap into this, let alone teach it. And this is what I believe separates the spectacularly good from the legendary great. Like, how do you become legendary? And that you become, in my mind, legends are created from the third level of motivation. And this is purpose, destiny, and calling. Now, this is the ultimate level of tapping into your power. And as a leader, it's when you get yourself dialed in to exactly why you're born, exactly why you were here. So let me just ask you, why were you born? What's the purpose of your life? Why are you here? Why are you here? And if you don't have an answer to that question, how much more powerful do you think you would be as a leader if you had a clear, defined answer for that? If you had a clear, defined purpose that was actually in line with your business, how much more powerfully do you think you'd show up? And I will tell you firsthand, this changed the game for me. And it's changed the game for so many of the leaders that I've been able to work with. And I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, I never would have become the #1 earner in 3 different companies, one that did over $5 billion in sales, without a core purpose that drove me to produce far beyond the money and recognition. I'm not here with you guys to help you play a small game. I'm not here to help you make $100,000 a year. Through this training, yes, obviously it's going to help you make $100,000 a year. I'm talking about you tapping into something that most people will never tap into, being truly great in this business. And the way I figure it, if I can teach you how to be truly great and you fall a little short of that and you end up making $500,000 a year, hey, I'll be happy with that as well. But here's what happened to me. When I got to several $100,000 a year, whether I worked or not, it wasn't money that drove me to keep going. Sure, I wanted to make more money. I wanted more things. I wanted more experiences, right? I wanted more recognition. But what got me to travel to 27 countries in 1 year, most of that speaking for my organization, what gave me that energy, what gave me the drive, what gave me the determination to keep going despite crazy challenges that are always going to be present, and what allowed me to access massive levels of untapped potential within myself is when I got laser focused on aligning my purpose with my business. See, when you get clear on why you were born, when you have a destiny, when you're rock solid as to exactly what that calling is, this is when you become unstoppable. So last week, we talked about the key to self-motivation, right? Self-motivation exists when there's a contrast between your current results and what your true identity is. And when you stack purpose on top of your vision that we went through last week, and your purpose also becomes part of your identity, this is where you start tapping into levels of motivation that most people will never experience. This is what we mean by psychological fuel stacking. Okay, this is why I created the inner circle. So lots of leaders talk about how success is attracted by the person you become. It's true. But how do you become the person? So that's the whole thing. We hear it, but they never give you this clear and defined system. They never give you a framework for developing yourself into that incredibly powerful person. So that's what this is about. And listen, your purpose, which we're going to talk about in a second, doesn't have to be and really shouldn't be only about business. So in fact, my first purpose had nothing to do with business. And it allowed me to tap into higher levels of energy, tap into higher levels of happiness. Like, it was really powerful for me. It was when I also tied it to business when I became really unstoppable in business. Now, here's why most don't figure this out. Most people tell you to go find your purpose. And I heard it for a long time, and I wanted to find my purpose. So I'd pray about it. I'd read books about it. I'd meditate on it, but I couldn't find it. I kept looking and looking and looking. I'd like read books on it, and it's like, find your purpose. And they give you all these hints to go find your purpose. And I'm like, why can't I find my purpose? God never like went down. No, your purpose is this. So here's what I want you to consider for a minute. You don't find your purpose. You create your purpose. Now, I'm not a religious guy, right? But I do consider myself to be very spiritually aligned. Like, I don't make it a practice to push my beliefs about God onto others. But my personal belief here is that God is all powerful. Like, God created everything. And if God created us, he makes us powerful as well. So if we are powerful, we certainly have the power to create our own purpose, and we absolutely have the power to accomplish it. So my belief is that God's gift to us is unlimited potential. Our gift to God is using that potential. Okay. Feel free to write that down. You can use it. God's gift to us is unlimited potential. Our gift to God is using that potential. So this week, we're going to help you use your potential by creating your life's purpose. Are you ready? So I'm going to read you mine real quick. And understand that it wasn't always this. Okay. My core purpose is helping network marketers become powerful leaders and step into their unlimited potential, to enjoy peak experiences and adventures around the world, to create a legacy of multi-generational love, success, wealth, and contribution, and to be a hero to my children. So this is my life's purpose. Okay. How do I know for sure that it's my life purpose? Like, how do I know? How do I have certainty on that? I decided. It's as simple as that. So once I get something that motivates me, something that drives me, something that makes my life feel worthy and significant, that's it. I don't have to wonder if it's my life purpose. I don't have to say, maybe it's my life purpose. I decide, and I have certainty. Why? Because I decided, for no reason other than I have the power to decide this is my life's purpose. And that gives me power. So if you've been searching for your life's purpose, if you've been looking to find it, the good news is you can stop looking, because you're going to create it. Okay. Now, again, this has changed a bunch of times over the years, and it's totally fine if yours changes. See, life isn't meant to be static. It isn't meant to be the same. The purpose you create this week is likely not going to be the same as your purpose a year from now. It'll modify, it'll change. You'll find other things that are like different words and different ways to structure the word, so it's more powerful for you. But if you don't at least create something, you don't tap into it. And if you don't start somewhere, you don't get to that ultimate purpose that really drives you. So my friends, let's create your purpose. And here's my advice is, on the top of a page, do this first. I'm going to go through a couple different steps. At the top, you're going to write, the core purpose of my life is ... The core purpose of my life is, and you're going to put that. Okay. It's the first thing you do. And after you do the next exercise, you're going to write a bunch of things. Okay. To get the wording right, you may have to write it out 50 times. You may have to write it out 100 times. You're going to write it out a bunch of times until you get it. Now, I'm going to give you an exercise that's going to help you get it, help you find it. It's the most powerful way that I've found for myself and others to help them create a really powerful purpose. So, some things to think about. Incorporate what's most important in your life. Like for me, my children are everything. So being a hero to them, that inspires me. Leaving a legacy inspires me. So I included that. Adventure, seeing the world, that inspires me. Transforming network marketers inspires me. It's in line with what I do. So I incorporate those things into my purpose. And every morning when I read my purpose, it helps cement that into my identity as me being the person who does all those things. And the more it becomes my identity, the more certain I am to be able to go accomplish those things. It feels weird if I'm not doing it because I've ingrained it into my mind so many times. So here's some things to think about. What would fill you with boundless levels of energy? What would make you happy to lose sleep over? What would make you willing to get up early and willing to stay up late? What would make you proud to accomplish at the end of your life? How do you want to be remembered at the end of your life? And what would you like someone to say about you at your eulogy? And this is going to get into the exercise that I want you to go through in creating your life's purpose. Is I want you to write out your own eulogy. Now, if you've never done this, if you haven't written your own personal eulogy, I can tell you firsthand, it can be a powerful process if you'll allow yourself to go deep. Now, sometimes we shy away from really going deep. My coaching in this process is for you to go deep with this process. And so when you go through your eulogy, it should be an emotional experience. It was amazingly emotional for me. In fact, I went through it at an event. Years ago, I wrote out my eulogy and I was crying because I was like, wow, if people said this about me, that would be so meaningful. Like, what are the things that if people said this about you when you were gone, it would be so meaningful. It would move you. Okay. So writing your eulogy is going to be part of the process here. Part of your homework. Okay. Now here's my coaching is make sure your purpose is something that you can feel accomplished with on a regular basis. So for me, helping network marketers become powerful leaders, that's something that I'm doing every time I'm doing a training. If I'm writing an email, like my daily emails, if I'm writing that out, if I'm doing a live, I feel like I'm moving towards that. I'm taking action. A mistake that I see people making is like, my purpose is to become worth $100 million. My purpose is to create 100 millionaires. Like it's this specific like number goal, which it might be great to have that as a long-term goal, but your purpose should be something that really allows you to feel like you're making progress. Like if you haven't created any millionaires and your life's purpose is to create 100 millionaires, you're so far away. It's like you're not really on a daily basis. You don't feel like you're making progress. You're accomplishing much. So make it long enough to be inspiring, but short enough to be memorized, right? Sometimes people are creating a life purpose and it's, 2 pages long. It's more like your identity. See, there's a reason why we have an identity, and my identity, my vision statement is much longer. Okay. Your identity stack, which is your identity, your vision statement, that's going to be longer. And then your purpose should be a little like smaller, like shorter to the point. So we talked about the identity stack last week. That's your 3rd daily power ritual. Okay, so part of your identity stack now is going to include reading your core purpose and your personal vision every single day. Why read it every single day? Because every time you read it, it brings it into your subconscious. It creates your identity. Now, how I do it personally is I have my purpose and then my vision statement. Okay, so that's the order in which I do them. I know I had you create the other one first. There's reason for that. We don't have time to get into it. So you're going to read your core purpose and then you're going to read your vision statement. And to be very, very clear, to recap on your daily power rituals, number 1 is your gratitude stack. So you're going to write down 5 things that you're grateful for. At least one of them should be a person. So you're going to write the 5 things, spend a minute just soaking them in and feeling it and experiencing the gratitude. And then you're going to give it away. You'll write a message to someone, letting them know how and why you're grateful for them. Okay. This daily practice does 2 major things. Number 1, it gets you in the right mental state, gives you more happiness. And number 2, it makes you masterful in relationship building. Unimaginably powerful when you do this consistently over time. And I'm going to give you, this is a major nugget. Like, don't overlook what I'm about to tell you. One of the biggest keys to power and leadership is having a power base. a power base, which is a group of people that you can call on to support you in accomplishing your goals and support you in accomplishing your purpose, whatever it is you're up to in life. Now, I'm not much of a fan on politics, but I have read a lot about leadership and power as it relates to politics. And the world's most powerful leaders, they rose to the most powerful men and women in the world because they had a huge base of supporters, because they had a power base. How do you create a power base? I'm telling you, daily power ritual number 1, the gratitude stack. When you give it away, it does that for you. It gives you an edge that most people are just never going to have. This one simple daily practice done consistently is going to give you a level of supporters that you can't imagine. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, it's the learning stack. 10 pages of a book or 30 minutes of an audio or video training every single day. Today, I did well over an hour. Like, I got into a book. I took some notes from the book. I watched the video. It was an hour and 15 minutes, I believe. And I took tons of notes. Like, I got so much out of my daily, my learning stack today. Like, incredible amounts. Like, yesterday wasn't as powerful, the day before, very powerful. Like, so many powerful days with my learning stack. The key is doing this consistently every single day. So again, you're going to do your learning. You're going to write down your biggest takeaway in your journal. This gives you a near unlimited amount of topics to train on as a leader and allows you to grow beyond 99% of everyone else in our profession, every other leader in our profession. How do you become a powerful speaker? How do you become a powerful trader? You do your learning stack every single day, and you'll have this unlimited level of content. Number 3 is your identity stack. You'll read your core purpose, and then you'll read your identity statement every single morning. This starts your day off with power. It starts your day off with purpose. It conditions your identity so that every single day of your life, you're programming yourself to become exactly what you desire. So, in addition to the social media assignments, and to recap those, you're going to go through and you're going to put up your cover photo, your profile pic. You're going to fill in your info and your details, how you help people, and you're going to clean up your timeline. So we're setting the foundation for the social recruiting system, and we're setting the foundation for you becoming a leader that is very uncommon in this world. Okay. So in addition to social media, the 2 assignments, number 1, you're going to write your future eulogy. And that's going to help you create your core purpose. Okay, this is your assignment. And you'll meet with your accountability group. So in your accountability group, you're going to talk about the biggest takeaway from this training and what I'm committed to implementing. And here's my coaching. Go deep. Go deep with your group. Vulnerability equals power. And part of the accountability group is giving you practice in being vulnerable. If you're not used to being vulnerable, this is all the more reason why you need to practice this. And I'm telling you, I was very uncomfortable being vulnerable for a long time. The first time I ever talked about my father committing suicide, aside from a few close friends, was on a Fox News interview. And the guy interviewing me, he just kept digging and digging and digging. And he finally found something. And I talked about that. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I shared that. And I felt weird. It was awkward. But what I realized is there was so much power in that. People came out of the woodworks telling me how inspired they were, how it helped them, how it changed them. If you want to get good at transforming lives, if you want to be a transformational leader, get good at being vulnerable, going deep. And vulnerability is this courageous vulnerability isn't weakness. It's power. When you can go deep and share the things that have gone on without coming from a place of victimhood. We'll talk more about that. Okay. So you're going to go through your biggest takeaway from the training with your accountability group. You're going to read your core purpose to the group. If you want to read your eulogy, you can do that as well, and talk about why it's meaningful towards you, for you. And then whatever else serves the group. Again, you guys own the group. You own the process. Okay. We help facilitate it and you own it. So my friends, this concludes week number 2. And I am amazingly excited to dive into week number 3, even more powerful content when it comes to the social recruiting system and when it comes to the inner game and leadership. So hope you're as excited as I am about that. And feel free, make sure you tune in to our Q&A and transformation call on Thursdays. Mark your calendars. Make sure you've got your reminders set. We'll see you there, my friends. God bless you.